Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
This year, someone special is coming back to Hamilton High for prom night. Mary Lou Maloney. She's been dead for 30 years. Now she's going to use Vicky's body to get her crown back.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What's up?
This week, we're discussing the horror classic Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, starring many Canadian actors. And Michael Ironside, he's in this. I almost forgot that. That's
like so young. And he's got a booty, too. It was quite shocking.
he's the thinking woman sex symbol is what I hear.
Shut your mouth, boy. The thinking woman sex symbol always was and always ever shall be Christopher Walken. That's just science. Science.
That is just science. I think we can all agree on that. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's the latest?
Well, I just finished Polaroid Week where I did iconic images of David Lynch film. It took me forever. They look rock and roll. And now I'm trying to build a pinhole camera, except apparently I don't have any of the film I actually needed, and today is pinhole day. So I'm trying to see
what's a pinhole camera?
A pinhole camera is a camera without a shutter, where basically there's just a little hole, and you cover it up and release it. It's like old school.
What's the purpose of that?
It's a camera, and I'm taking pictures. It's a very slow speed. So it looks kind of moody. It should be fairly sharp. So there you go.
I wanted to tell our listeners that at long last, we have started compiling a list. Because it used to be when I would say, hey, what movies do you guys want us to do? People would tell us. And I'd be like, okay. And I just kind of put it in my brain somewhere where I may become lost forever. But for the last couple weeks, we compiled every time someone had said, add this movie to your list. I am now literally adding it to the list. And it's shocking to me because there are times when we're trying to decide what movie to do next where I'm just like, man, I feel like there's only 2 movies left we need to do. The list is long and it is growing. It is kind of freakishly long.
And it is never ending.
It is clearly never ending, but I like having it because we can flip through it and be like, oh, well, here's a movie we haven't done that I'd like to take another look at. So thank you, America, for contributing to our list. So
what we don't have is actually a list of what we've done without having to scroll through the titles of our posts.
That is true. That is true. I wish there was a way, and maybe somebody out in the world knows the way, where if I go to, I don't know, Apple Podcast or Spotify, I can click on the podcast that wouldn't die, and then the search bar appears and I can type in the name of a movie and it'll go to that movie. I don't think that exists, but if it does, that would be very helpful because you're right. I often have to scroll. Well, first of all, I think you scroll. I just kind of try to remember if we've already done a movie or not. And usually I'm pretty good.
I've already forgotten.
It's hopeless. You don't even know if you've seen the movie at this stage of the game.
Don't know.
It's a sad, sad situation. Aaron, I want you to know this is also a video podcast. So
I just ordered this fucking film.
Good Lord. This is a thing. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and the pet peeve I have is people who are eating while they're recording their podcast. They're having lunch, like it's during their lunch hour. They're having a snack. No, do not eat while you're recording.
No,
Record,
that
then
is
eat, or then eat
weird.
and record. Go ahead.
I've had people come to IEPs and like bust out a sandwich. I'm like, this is a legal matter. This isn't your lunch break.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Can we just try to be professional? I mean, that doesn't apply to me, of course, but to others.
Put that goddamn hoagie away and focus the matter at hand. It's a legal matter.
I'm just going to sit here and eat an onion sandwich.
I'm just going to sit here and eat an onion. Why not? How you like them apples?
It's an Arabian apple.
Crunch.
I remember being a little kid and I snuck out of bed and Dad was in the TV room watching TV, and I swear to God, he was eating a red onion like it was an apple. He was in there like late at night by himself.
That's impossible. I don't believe that.
It's
for
truth.
A second.
It's an Arabian apple. I heard that on Abbott and Costello.
Well, let me tell you this story, since we're exposing all of Dad's secrets. When Dad would come home from work, what he liked to do is immediately disrobe, which I get. You want to get into your comfy clothes. But for Dad, his comfy clothes were just his white chonies.
Yes.
Just his bone white chonies.
Because he refused to turn the air conditioning on. So let's just walk around like it's the scenes from Once Upon a Time in America.
So I would come home from school. This is high school now. And I'd have friend or friends with me. And I'd open up that door, and it was a straight shot right into his bedroom, to his chair where he was sitting in his underwear eating cottage cheese.
Watching the news.
Watch the news. I had to shove people out the door, say, you know what? Party's over.
Dude,
go home. I will
Dad
see you
classic.
another day.
Cottage cheese, salsa, corn chips.
That's
the cheapest, most Scotch-Brite corn chips you could buy. And if Mom went out of town,
it was a little hot sauce.
And when Mom got out of town, he'd been like, buy a quart of malt liquor, because that was the only way.
That I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He'd go to Alpha Beta and get the Scotch Buy where it was a white and blue label, just said beer.
That's
back when it was okay to say that Scotch people were cheap.
Beer is beer. Malt liquor is different. Was he having a generic beer, or was he having a generic malt liquor?
Like our Uncle Frank, he was buying whatever was on sale.
Oh, sweet Jesus! It was a hard life.
I enjoyed a little malt liquor back in my youth. Get bit by the cobra. I get like a king cobra. Tall boy. Run a couple of movies. Get a pizza. Whoop whoop.
Now, Zima is technically a malt beverage as well.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I don't even know what that even means anymore. Like, what is a malt beverage? Some of the wine coolers, like that were sweet, were malt beverages. Isn't that like you'd buy you couldn't get the Spam, but it was like canned meat food product at the Walmart? Like you can't. Does that mean you can't say it's meat? You can't say it's food?
Can't do it.
You don't even know what a Zima is.
It's against the law. Anywho, Aaron, give us your 30-second synopsis of Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
It is a classic 80s little slasher ditty. It is kind of like that crazy Nick Cage movie where you go back to the 50s.
Are you talking about Peggy Sue Got Married?
It was like Carrie, but with God. What is that movie? Nick Cage. It was the 50s. She goes back.
Peggy Sue Got Married.
Peggy Sue Got Married. Hello, yes. Mary Lou. Peggy Sue Got Married. Same movie.
Unrelated.
Same movie.
Do you know
I believe they exist in the universe. The only difference is one is a Carrie ripoff and one is time traveling.
But did you know? Can you hear me, Aaron? Because I feel like I'm saying things and you're not responding in any way to them.
Because I was talking, bro.
Did you know Peggy Sue Got Married was a Francis Ford Coppola movie.
I did know that.
Which
That's
is
why you
bizarre.
had Nick Coppola in it.
Right. He almost got fired from that movie.
Because he was a
by his
screwhead?
uncle. No, because if you watch that movie, the entire time he's doing this weird voice.
He always is
His
doing
guy-
a weird voice. What are you talking about?
He's doing a strange voice, and Francis Ford was like, "What are you doing?" And he wouldn't stop doing the weird voice, so they almost fired him.
I mean,
over
it would have been no loss to that film. It wasn't like he was really pivotal in the whole thing. It was a real half-ass kind of performance.
It's weird. Francis Ford Coppola. You think of it like 70s era Francis Ford. You had like Patton, right into the Godfather movies, right into Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
And then frickin' 10 years later, he's like, how about Peggy Sue Got Married?
Yeah.
What do you think
Where's
of that?
coming from?
Who the hell knows?
I mean,
So
maybe he was stuck and he threw out a piece of trash to break his streak. Because when you're on that roll, everybody's waiting for your flop. So he's like, I'm just going to give it to you and then try to move on.
I think
And
he
I
flopped
my
previously.
nephew in for fun.
He did, yeah. After Apocalypse Now, he had kind of a rough period where it was nothing
Yeah.
but crapola. And then people would only hire him if he did Godfather 3 or something along those lines. Like
Godfather versus Freddy, you know.
Godfather versus Freddy.
Dude,
Bram Stoker's
that
Freddy.
kind of sounds good, actually.
No, it doesn't.
That would.
That does not sound good.
I mean, Michael Corleone has a lot to be messing around in his head.
Fair. So did you finish your 30-second synopsis, by the way, or did I just interrupt your nonsense?
You know, I mean, it really doesn't make any sense. And sometime in the 50s, this girl got herself, who's a bee, gets herself all burned up. And now all of a sudden in the 80s, 30 years later, now her ghost is seeking to make out with Michael Ironside. The end.
It is kind of a weird thing. Whenever they have these moments where it's like the place is haunted, but for 30 years, everything's been fine. And then for no reason at all, at this moment, it decides to kick in with the crazy haunting. No
Is it because Michael Ironside just became the principal at this school? Is it because no one knows? Someone opened the trunk and someone touched her crown, and that gave her the rage. That freed her.
Oh, well, maybe that makes sense.
And why weren't all her shit be there anyway?
Whose story? What? Who? She was killed at the prom, and what? They just stored all her her corpse in the garage.
And how come her crown didn't melt?
No,
maybe it was real diamonds. Do you think her mom would want that? But I mean,
unclear.
Yeah, there's a lot of what.
One thing that's interesting about this movie, because when I suggested us watching this, you said, well, I haven't seen the first Prom Night. And I had to tell you, no connection. Not like made by an entire different production company, basically. The original one was a Jamie Lee Curtis boilerplate slasher back when she was doing those things where it's just kind of like you've seen it a million times. Terror Train was like this as well. When they were kids, somebody got picked on and there was accidental death. And now it's prom night and there's murders going down. And who's the murderer? So it's like a mystery kind of thing. And Jamie Lee's doing her Jamie Lee shit. This basically was a Canadian production. And it was going to be called The Haunting of Hamilton High. Was what it was going to be called.
It was going to call H cubed.
Yeah. Yes. If it had been released in 1998, that's what they would have called it. H with a little cube. But the production company, basically, I don't know who it was, Universal, Paramount, whoever it was, basically were like, well, now we're going to call this Prom Night 2 because entirely coincidentally, it also takes place at the prom. So, hello,
They
Mary
just wanted
Lou.
to get a little tie in there.
They absolutely did. They wanted to
I assume you have to pay
trick.
for that, right?
Who's to say? Zombie 2. Did he pay? Did Lucio Fulci pay for that? I don't think
He
he
ain't
did.
paying for nothing, mother effers.
Clearly.
You mess with a Fulci,
So-
you appear in a Fulci.
You
Never mind where that body came from. It's all part
Let
of
it
the
not
show
be
now.
said.
Yeah,
Right. 100%.
Don't look behind the curtain.
do not do that. So, and the reason why it's called Hello Mary Lou, number one, they made the main character the ghostly murderer, whatever the hell she is. That's her name. But it was also a popular song from the 50s.
Hello,
was Mary
Lou. Wasn't it Ricky Nelson?
Could be. I don't know.
Well, keep jibber jabbering. I'll look it up.
But I saw Prom Night, the original, like earlier this year for the first time. But ironically, I saw not the whole thing. Who wrote it? Is a song.
It was written by Gene Pitney, but eventually Ricky Nelson did record it.
But he wasn't the original recording or the popular recording?
No. Johnny Duncan in 1960, and then Ricky Nelson in 61. I always think it's weird, like when Falco came out, Der Kommissar, and the same time it was released was an American version by a different band.
Yes, After the Fire.
After the Fire. You always had to wait because they sounded identical. I'm like, too much English. This isn't Falco.
Isn't it? Well, Falco, all of his songs were in German.
But they threw in some English words, though.
Superstar.
Rock me, Amadeus.
Fair. Rock me, Amadeus. And then it would just be Amadeus. Because he was... I'm trying to think. I remember at the time, and I don't know how I remember this because this was ages ago, when Falco was I think he was Austrian. Was he Austrian?
Yeah, he's Austrian. No, he's Austrian. I visited his grave.
And is he dead? Falco's dead?
Falco's died a long time ago. He's buried in the same cemetery as like Brahms and Beethoven and all these big composers.
Well, whatever the case may be, they talked about how like German linguists at the time were having difficulty understanding him in his songs. They were like, we don't know what the this guy's saying. We understand Rock Me Amadeus, but other than that, we know nothing about it. And Rock Me Amadeus was not in the movie Amadeus that came out about that same time.
I'm sorry, what? Mozart didn't freaking write that? What?
He didn't write Rock Me Amadeus? You thought there'd be like, during the closing credits, they'd kick into Falco or something. They did not.
So, dude, I feel like I'm going into CapCut and I'm going to create that version.
You should. Please do.
Maybe I will, with my spare time today.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
Rock Me Amadeus.
What I was saying is I actually saw bits and pieces of Hello Mary Lou, and I remember it distinctly. It was like flipping channels on a Saturday night at like a 5 o'clock. It's the sun's starting to go down. I'm young, so it's not like I'm like 12 or whatever I was. Right. I'm not hitting the town, but I saw the thrilling conclusion of Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 probably 30 years ago, and that's all I knew about it.
All right.
So good times had by all. One thing that you said that jumped out at me is the song came out in 60 and 61.
Correct.
This movie takes place in 57, or at least the original. It takes place before the song was big.
They didn't hire us for continuity, clearly.
Clearly. It's a sad situation. Had you ever seen nor heard of Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 before?
I mean, when you said it, it sounded familiar, but maybe it was just the name of the song that sounded familiar.
Sing a few bars of the song. I don't remember.
Hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart, sweet Mary Lou. I'm so in love with you. It has a very 50s jam.
Fair. Good stuff.
You have to remember, I'm from the generation of Grease. So when Grease first came out, suddenly everything was about the 50s. So you had Shauna Na had their own show. Now you've got Laverne and Shirley. You got the Fonz. And
Right.
all that music had been discovered. That's the only reason I know like 50 songs.
There's a weird thing that happens in pop culture where it's literally nostalgia always skips a decade. So it's like in the 70s, for some reason, there was a big 50s revival,
Right.
right? In the
Because the
80s, you
people are
started to
getting
notice the
old.
60s.
Yeah.
Right.
The
people,
it's
yes.
2 generations. Now they're old. They're feeling their oldness. Just like 80s are out now. It's all about the 90s.
Which is bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Actually, it's not even the 90s anymore. It's now the aughts. It's the first.
God.
10,
We're
that's what
skipping
I'm
ahead
saying.
so fast.
Sweet Jesus. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Why don't we jump right in to the highlights, Aaron? What do you got?
I have to say, I don't hate this movie, but I love
Ooh.
all the 80s nostalgia because you
Yep.
have to look at an 80 movies. Like when you looked like at the 70s show, the clothing and stuff never looked right. It never looked right.
No.
But because everyone is not just wearing a uniform, people wear different clothes. So I
Right.
loved all the vibes. You forget all the crazy hair and the fashion and all that.
Absolutely.
So I love all that. Because
Well,
this
there's
was
that
late
one girl.
80s. This is like
This was
87. Yeah.
Yeah. There was the one friend who got pregnant who was like the Cure girl, basically with the big old crazy Cure hair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Dude, that could have
you
been
would
Palm
see that
Springs
shit
High
back
School.
in the day.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. No, I definitely dug all that. I thought, honestly, I think I needed more Mary Lou in this movie. I need more Mary Lou Maloney because the first time we meet her, frankly, the 90% of her performance is she's in
A
confession.
Yeah.
Well, she's right in confession because like, there's a lot of Catholicism in this movie.
Yeah.
She's
freakish
talking about-
amount of Catholicism, which really has
Yes.
nothing to do with the story. They're
No, it
trying to
doesn't.
double down on this Carrie thing.
Right. There's Carrie. It's yes. So this movie is a haunting movie, right? But it is kind of the backdrop of Carrie, where it's kind of like the nerdy girl becomes prom queen for some reason.
But
Like, that's
Mary
really the
Lou
only
was not the
connection.
nerdy girl.
No, but that's in the 80s. It's the nerdy girl who becomes because she's
Right.
possessed by Mary Lou. But there's that. So she goes into confession and she's rattling off her list of sins, among which, like, yeah, I've a bunch of dudes, like multiple men, multiple ages, multiple situations. Priest.
Yeah.
I hope
And I'm
that's
going to
cool
do
with
it
you.
as soon as I leave here. It just
Well,
goes
she
just
says-
nonstop.
Her bomb drop as she's leaving is when she says, "And I loved every minute of it."
Uh-huh.
And then she writes, "For a good time, call Mary Lou in the
In the
lipstick.
confessional.
She's an icon. She was an icon. But yes, she was a ridiculous she was a ridiculous bitch is really what it was. Let's be honest.
She was not nice. I don't believe she had any friends, which is why she died the terrible death of having a stink bomb catch her dress on fire.
Right. Well, she went to the dance with a nice guy, the young, really kind of a freakish doppelganger of Michael Ironside. I mean, they found a dude who looked just like him, honestly. She goes to the dance with him, who's the nice guy, who she's clearly been cheating on all the goddamn time.
Right.
And while she's there, she hooks up with another, like literally goes behind the curtain to have sex with a totally different guy. They're drinking, they're doing all this shit. And he catches her, and she's just like, so what? Too bad. It doesn't matter who took you to the dance, it's who you go home with. It was kind of the iconic line. She was just did not give a good goddamn.
Why didn't she just go with the guy?
I don't know. What did they say that her boyfriend came from a good family and had money or something along those lines, but the bad boy that she just basically jumps his bones was, I don't know, he was a tiger in the sack. I don't know what the story was. It's hard to be clear.
Clearly had money to get to the prom. And let me tell you, back in the days, you could not show up stag, so he was there with somebody else.
Oh, fair. Fair. But yes, they were going to throw some random guys were going to throw a stink bomb, and it was literally like a stick of dynamite or something. It was some
It was
big,
giant.
thick thing. It was a pipe bomb, and the jilted boyfriend angrily climbs up in the rafters and throws the stink bomb.
Michael Ironside.
Young Michael Ironside, and Mary Lou Maloney was crowned prom queen, and she's up there doing her thing. And he drops a stink bomb, and it rolls towards her and lights her dress on fire. And she goes up like he dropped napalm on her.
Yeah,
essentially, it was just like an inferno, and no one does shit.
No one did a damn thing. No smoke detectors. I think at least in Cary they had sprinklers. Not at this high school.
Well, and it's like, was there no staff? Is there no adults
They're
here?
Like, burn the witch. Burn the witch.
Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno.
It was a disco inferno.
Michael Ironside is up above going, help her, help her. And I guess the bad boy, who was, I guess, her de facto date at that point, he was going to go help her, but then he gets too afraid. So he sits and just cries, and curls up in a fetal ball and cries until she's just, I don't know, she's just ashes. At that point, no one else does shit.
But when her ghost shows up, she's got like a tiny scar on her cheek. What?
Later, it was bizarre. Later in the movie, the good girl from the, who does her homework but has a nice boyfriend, blah, 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 she gets possessed. So that when she gets chosen as prom queen, Michael Ironside shows up with a gun and just shoots her in front of everybody.
Yeah.
It just guns her down. And then from her bloody wounds, like Mary
It was the substance. It was the substance.
100%. She climbs, and this is the end of the movie. We're jump from the very beginning to the very end.
Because we're hitting only the high points.
And is all blobby and crazy and flames and shit. But gradually, mucusy, and gradually she turns back to relative normalcy. Like you said, it's now the real Mary Lou, not a crazy burnt blob creature with just a little something, just a little a little zit on her chin. It was hard to be clear what the remnants of her horrible burning was. So this movie is bizarre and bonkers, to say the least. So what else you got, Aaron?
Let's see here. I have all kinds of weird notes.
Please.
What does this mean? I didn't realize how old he was until I saw how young he was.
Are we talking about Michael Ironside or what?
Idea.
I don't know.
No idea.
Let's play that fun party game. Let's decipher Aaron's incomprehensible notes. Impossible. I think it was interesting that the girl we're following, the central protagonist, a little blonde woman, whose name, of course, I cannot remember for the life of me. She lives with her parents, and it's like her kind of shrewish mom.
It's a Cary mom.
It's a Cary mom, where she's like, your green dress will be fine. And the girl storms out, and the husband goes, hey, honey, it's young love, remember? And the wife just kind of snarls, and he's like, I guess not. That was, I laughed at that moment. That was, I guess not. Moving on.
I noticed that whenever there are these flashbacks, when the one girl becomes possessed, it's literally like she's in the underworld from Beetlejuice.
Oh, right. Yes.
I mean, the look, the color, I don't remember when Beetlejuice came out, but it had that total vibe, which I was kind of digging.
Well, it was also kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing, where she's in the cafeteria looking around, and there's like maggots on the tray that she's trying, like roaches and putting shit on her. Yeah, which was
that was part of the good part.
Yes, that was. Well,
the little redhead girl, just like Carrie, She wasn't that interesting, let's be frank. So
No, she
when she
wasn't.
was possessed is when she was doing her best.
What was interesting is it's like she gets possessed, and or so as she gets possessed, like the people who are killed around her are her nice friends. Like you meet like kind of a bullyish chick, nothing ever happens to her. The
Yeah.
bully chick who's with her the entire movie, she gets out of the scot free. Her friend, her crazy like gothy friend, who was pregnant, gets just murdered in a bizarre situation where it's like she picks up the crown, Mary Lou's crown,
Right.
and takes a tool and pops one of the fake jewels off it for no reason, and is immediately attacked, like because she puts on the cape, that the prom cape that the prom queen wears, and she's getting dragged over, and you see like the paper cutter, the big old like industrial school paper slicer is like chomp chomp, and it's like pulling her towards it, like oh she's about to get decapitated.
But then
No,
nothing freaking happens.
nothing.
And if you've ever used one of those industrial paper cutters they have at schools, they don't cut shit. Nothing
Right.
was going to
They're
happen
dull.
to you. You're going to get a pinch is what's going to happen. And then she
Right.
ended up being hung by like balloon ribbon. I was like, I feel like that would have broken.
She was hung and dies. And then she's launched out of the window and impaled on some iron gate down below for the sin of, contemplating having an abortion, essentially, as I think what we're trying to say.
That's right, because that's not something Mary Lou would have done. No, she was
Right.
punished because she desecrated her haunted plastic Dollar Tree crown.
Correct. It was absolutely a Dollar Tree. Does Dollar Tree exist anymore? Did they get rid of that?
No, we still have them, but now they're just random prices.
Right, because of
one
inflation.
complaint I have is the weird choice of artwork in Redhead Girl's bedroom. First of all, there's a life-size carousel horse, which doesn't seem cool for a high schooler. Then it's like all Picasso. I mean, there's the picture of Guernica. You want the horrors of the Spanish Civil War over your bed next to your,
I do.
like, freaking whoever you were listening to, your British New Wave. That just doesn't seem correct. And I was like, not one, not two. There was like 4 or 5 Picasso prints. Young girls in the 80s were not super down with Picasso.
Well, she
more
was
Guernica.
She was into all the. She was a good girl, so she spent her time reading about Picasso and studying fine art. Aaron, what do you mean?
And wishes that old man could caress her legs. Very nice.
That was okay. There was so much bizarreness in it because you're right. There was the giant carousel horse, which is like sticking its tongue out at her and kind of looking around, was terrifying.
Yeah, that was like nightmare.
That was bizarre. Then later, when she's fully possessed, her dad comes in the room to check on her. Are you okay? And she immediately starts making out with her dad.
And he doesn't protest.
He doesn't. They're making out for far too long until the wife comes and goes, "What the f-?" And then it's like, "Oh, sorry, hon." It was bizarre.
So I just fell in her mouth. Sorry.
I just fell in her mouth, as one does. No question. One scene which was kind of shocking is the Brian De Palma Carrie nudity scene that seems to occur, where
full nudity,
full frontal,
for no apparent reason. But we do know she's a natural redhead now. No doubt about that.
No doubt about it. Her friend is trying to take a shower, like one does after PE, and she's the possessed blonde girl, redhead girl, whatever she is. She wanders in there and tries to basically become a lesbian with the woman ever so briefly, and the woman reacts not with "What the f*** are you doing? You can stop now," but reacts with abject terror. Like, I'm out of here. Get me out of here. She's like, somebody help me. Like, there was a thing. But her friend dies an ignominious death because she, in her terror at her friend's lesbian advances, runs and hides in a locker. And Mary Lou walks up and uses her carry telekinesis, never before demonstrated psychic powers, and just squishes her. Squishes the locker, and you see like some kind of pink slop just squirt out. Blah. And that's the end
First
of
of
her
all,
friend.
let's not hide in lockers.
What is that going to do? Right?
No.
What's going to happen?
Plus,
You think that's
you
gonna...
can't get out because I've had students in lockers trapped inside.
Well, some lockers will lock automatically. Some you need to put actually a padlock on there.
No, but there to close it on the outside, it's like a up down thing, so it doesn't open. Well, that's not on the inside.
Oh. Well, there you go. And then you're screwed when Mary Lou comes a knocking, I guess. Mm-hmm. We talked about how young Michael Ironside went on to become the principal of the school. And he's got his son who's like, Dad, I'm going to take a gap year. You're ruining your life. You're going to destroy. What are you doing? All our plans. So it's a thing.
Right. And his girlfriend is the possessed Mary Lou girlfriend.
Right.
So why isn't she just showing up to Michael Ironside and sitting on his lap in class time? Why are we waiting until he starts shooting people, as one does as a high school principal?
Unclear. As one does. What we didn't talk about is the fact that the bad boy was so traumatized by the death of Mary Lou, where he didn't do anything, he joined the priesthood. So now he's the priest that is somehow connected to the local high school. Well, it's a Catholic high school? Is that what this is? Unclear.
No, it's a public high school. The whole this weird Catholicism thing it makes no sense, because we have possessed girls showing up and doing the exact same confession, and then she's like coming at him and is literally kicking apart this paper mache confessional. It was the shittiest thing I ever saw in my life. It was like balsam wood, 1 millimeter ply.
Well, she was like the Hulk, just smashing through. The whole building explodes. Right, it's a thing. But it's unclear because these two guys who were rivals for Mary Lou's affection, basically that event defined their entire lives. Yes. So much so that they still like talk to each other like, oh man, I think this girl's possessed by Mary Lou. I think she's back. Remember that time at the prom where I burned her to death and you didn't do anything? Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So the ending of this movie was confusing to me, and I'm going to be honest, I was starting to fall asleep at this point. But maybe you can figure it out.
The end of Mary Lou,
yes,
is she starts making out with Michael Ironside. This is regurgitated Mary Lou, the substance. Correct. Mary Lou. And all is right with the world, except, I don't know, her soul now lives inside the nice boy that she spurned.
Okay.
Because now he's possessed.
So Mary Lou is chasing around the sun. The real Mary Lou climbed out of the back of little blonde girl and is chasing around the young boyfriend and is coming to get her. And Michael Ironside swoops in and starts making out with Mary Lou. And that seemingly...
And she's down with it.
Right.
And now she's at her prom. She's making out with the boy she had no interest in.
Correct.
And now somehow that's cool. She's got her little trash crown. And all seems right with the world.
Everything's
or is
cool
it
now. Or well, because now it's smash cut to the boyfriend and the now unpossessed girl get in the back of Michael
you're right. So
car.
they sewed her up after a full human crawled out of her chest.
She kind of Mary Lou climbed out. She seemed to snap out
scabbed over well.
Right. It's like the Manitou.
It's like the Manitou.
the homie climbed out of her back, and they squirted her with a little Bactine and a couple Band-Aids, and she was all ready to go.
Boom!
So she's
ready to
fine.
boogie, taking that
She's
gap
ready to
year.
boogie. So she gets in the back of Michael Ironside's car. They both do. And Michael Ironside turns on the radio, and it's some old-ass 50s shit. And he turns around, and we're supposed to think now he's possessed by Mary Lou Maloney. And the shit's not over yet.
And no one says, "Hey, Mary Lou, tell me, what is it? Can we help you out with something? Is there something you need? You're just chaotic. You're chaotic neutral. What's your story?"
She's just evil. She's just straight evil.
Evo.
Right, which she didn't seem to be quite this evil back in the 50s. Let's be honest. She was a little free and easy and was kind of rude to her boyfriend. She cheated on her boyfriend a little bit, we're to presume, and maybe disrespectful to the priest. But she wasn't murdering people on the way to the prom that I saw. Right? She didn't run an old lady off the road like Reefer Madness or something.
She's kind of a narcissist, but I don't know. Maybe she was it was masking her sociopathy or whatever.
Well, she was a bitch. Yeah. She was a bitch, but
she did not. She seemed to be missing empathy in any way.
But was she a psychopath? Perhaps.
Yeah.
Unclear. So
they could ask her, "Hey, Mary Lou, what's up?" Because isn't that what we learned from The Sixth Sense? We're supposed to ask.
Just ask what they want.
What do
they need?
If they said that they want to skull you, then you got a boogie.
Get some holy water at that point. No question.
That's right.
Do you have any other notes?
Start saying that rosary.
Trust me, we need to. Y'all need some Jesus.
I got nothing else to say. A lot of headbands. I appreciate everyone's rocking the jazzercise headbands. You know, absolutely. A lot of sweat.
It was
the problem with those headbands, Kevin, is if you choose then to take it out, like after a full day, you end up with like a Herman Munster hair because it kind of pushes your head up. So now you have kind of a flat top, which I learned when I had a couple of drinks and tried to get the Annie Lennox. And I was so horrified. I got to work the next day. I threw a headband up there, and then I took it down because it was itchy, and I had a square head.
Yeah, it was not Eurythmics, is what you're saying at that point. Wah, wah. Okay, let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Let's go.
The phone number Mary Lou writes in the confessional booth for a good time was actually screenwriter Ron Oliver's home phone number at the time. No one called.
Was it 867-5309?
99. Almost every character in the film shares a last name with a cult film director, especially horror directors such as Wes Craven, Stephen King, George Romero, Todd Browning, Joe Dante,
Dude,
John
that has
Carpenter,
been done so
John
many
Waters.
fucking times.
It has. It ain't new. When tasked with directing reshoots, first-time director Ron Oliver called Wes Craven for some advice on directing a teen horror comedy. His advice was, give them a scare, give them a hard-on, and send them home. Thanks, Wes Craven. That's what he did in Deadly Friend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
In one of the few positive reviews of the film, the LA Times called it the blue velvet of high school horror movies.
What the? I don't even know what that means. What does that mean, Kevin?
Unclear. Who's to say? Let's see. Director Bruce Pittman admitted in an interview that the scene with actress Wendy Lyon in the shower and walking around nude in the locker room was purely gratuitous. He said the script originally had her and actress Beverly Henry wearing towels, but he felt the scene would have more impact if they were both naked.
Boo. Henry, yeah. Yeah, you're right. That bumped the movie up one level.
It had that impact that we were looking for.
The impact was you got to see all of them naked.
It's true. Henry was hesitant. Beverly Henry was hesitant, but agreed only if they shot her from the back and side, and she insisted on wearing a towel while being chased. When Pittman discussed with Lyon, she said, "Let's do it." It was her first and only career nude scene, and she was a real pro about it, even though she had to spend 2 days of being shot fully nude from every angle in front of a mostly male crew.
Oh, that's nice. What a bunch of assholes.
With craft service was in there, absolutely.
Hey,
Some
if you're
Teamsters.
if you're down with it, then that's cool. I don't like to think that people are pressured into it. But if you're free and easy, there's a lot of
Yep.
people that are secret nudists. So
The sequence with Wendy Lyon walking around the locker room fully nude wasn't written as such. In the
of
script, it was
course.
implied that she was wearing a towel, and screenwriter Ron Oliver was startled to see the final scene as it appears. So there you go.
Didn't you just say the same thing twice?
Nope. I did not. Did you? One was about the director directing it. The other was about the screenwriter going, "What the f***? Why are they all naked?" when he saw the final movie.
Because it's the 80s.
It's the 80s. Let's see. Kelly is drinking a Diet Pepsi in nearly every scene she appears.
Oh my God. Well, at least it wasn't as noticeable as the Sly Stallone, Sandra Bullock sellout to Taco Bell.
Let's see. Although not explicitly stated in the movie, Jess and Monica were also prom queen nominees along with Vicky and Kelly, hence why Mary Lou targets them.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out. That's important to moving the plot forward.
Both Wendy Lyon, who played Vicky Carpenter, and Terry Hawks, who played Kelly Henenlotter, voiced characters for the English dub of Sailor Moon. How about that?
How about that?
The film draws inspiration from the Stephen King Carrie, in which Carrie White and Mary Lou Maloney are both prom queens, and both Carrie White and Mary Lou Maloney are both victims of cruel pranks on prom night. There you go. They're exactly the same movie.
Otherwise, they're exactly the same characters.
Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Let's go. It's all Canada's finest.
It absolutely is. Let's see. Lisa Schrage, and I'm sure I'm butchering her name, played Mary Lou Maloney. You know her from such things as Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. She was in one episode of the new Twilight Zone in 1988. She was in Food of the Gods 2 in 1989.
Oh, that's one we haven't done. Food of the Gods 1.
We have not. And one episode of The Sentinel in 1998. You know it, don't you? Let's see. Michael Ironside played Bill Nordham. You know him from such things as Starship Troopers in 1997, Total Recall in 1990, Scanners in 1981, and Top Gun in 1986, among many, many others. He's also Canadian.
Let me ask you this question.
Please.
We watch a lot of American films.
Yes.
We see British stuff.
Yep.
What's up with the Canada?
What do you mean, what's up with it?
Like, how many Best Picture have trickled over from Canada? What's wrong with their production companies?
They do stuff. To answer your question, I do not know how many Best Picture. This is a good time for you to Google, because I will not do so. Let's see. Wendy Lyon played Vicky Carpenter. You know her from The Shape of Water in 2017.
I hate that movie.
She was in Regression in 2015. Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 in 1987. And Warehouse 13. She was in one episode. I'm unfamiliar with Warehouse 13. Let's see. Anybody else we want to know about from this movie?
No.
Okay. Let's go check out the rating, shall we? Wait a minute. This movie has 4 nominations for something. I have to see, since we're talking about nominations.
What?
The Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival in 1988 Ooh, grand prize nominee. The Genie Awards in 1980. I'm not familiar with
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
trying
these
to
awards.
move past the Genie Awards. I want to see actual Canadian films that won a U.S. Oscar.
Are you Googling it?
I'm trying to Google it.
While you're Googling it, let's look at the ratings. Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie 56% rotten. Do you know what the audience gave it?
What?
61%. Although that's technically fresh. So there you go. Top critics. Vincent Canby of the New York Times says, Bruce Pittman, the director, and Ron Oliver, who wrote the screenplay, have constructed the movie as if it were a gourmet banquet for toddlers. From the first course to the last, it's all ice cream.
All right. There's one movie that I saw at the Palm Springs Film Festival that was nominated. Yes. Denny Arcon, Jesus of Montreal, nominated at the 62 Academy Awards.
Unfamiliar.
Nominated.
Okay. Nominated for what? Best foreign film?
Yeah. Denny Arcand, the only Canadian to receive the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film.
Okay. Fair enough.
Poor Canada. Back to my story. They're like right above us. They speak the same language. Why are they not producing, except for the parts that speak French, why are their films not as good as ours or the British?
I don't know. Although there are many famous Canadian actors, including
that move here to work.
This is the place to be. What can I tell you?
The actors come here, and so do their doctors.
They do. Okay. Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times says, a splendid example of what imagination can do with formula genre material. That seems insane. Thank you very much for that, Kevin Thomas. Now, before we move on, we have to check in with our resident film critic.
Absolutely.
AI Rex Reed.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
AI Rex Reed had this to say about Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2. Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2 is a bargain bin Carrie knockoff so drenched in Aquanet and bad decisions, it's less a horror movie and more a crime scene. Thank you, AI Rex Reed. Aaron, what is your review of Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2?
I have to tell you, our AI Rex Reed, it really has the best reviews, better than all of the actual human beings. We might just cut out the actual real people. We're going pure AI.
Only do AI Rex Reed. I agree.
The next best thing is we need like a AI robot that looks like Rex Reed in his prime to prop up next to you.
And does his voice. Absolutely.
Actually, I enjoyed it more than I thought. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but it's a fun 80s kind of slasher nonsense nostalgia piece. So I'm going to give it like 3 Mary Lou's out of 5. Rock and roll.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Honestly, I'm kind of torn because there are things that I enjoy about this movie quite a bit, and there are other parts that I just find boring, is all get out. Especially when you realize the movie, like, I like the character of Mary Lou Maloney, but we only see her very briefly, right? The rest of it, it's the other chick who's possessed, who honestly is not nearly as interesting in my mind.
That's why they threw in the nudity, I think. They're like, we got to do something with this.
That helped.
Shut your mouth.
I appreciated that effort. I think I'm gonna say the same thing as you. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's not as good as I would have hoped. So, and I've seen it a few
for me,
times,
it's not as bad as I thought.
There you go. The intersection, right? So there you have it. Any last thoughts about Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2?
I don't have any more thoughts about it, nor will I think about it in the future.
Ever again. So, thank you very much. Go to our pages across social media. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. You can watch us on YouTube. Even right, you can stop what you're doing right now and watch us on YouTube if you were so inclined. You can also email us the podcast that would die at Gmail. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I'm on the Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I have art on First Dibs and Artsy. And if you happen to pick up edition 11 of Analog Forever magazine, I think you can get it online. There's going to be a picture that I took in there. Weep, weep.
Oh, very cool. So guys, check that out. Just
that
run
out.
to your newsstand, right? And
No, we got to order it online. Have you noticed that at the grocery stores, there's no more magazines? There's only those like $15 kind of soft books.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? It used to be all these magazines. And even when I was down in San Diego, we went to look for magazines and they didn't have any. They had like the Globe and that kind of trash, but
the Weekly World News.
Yeah, even in the magazine section, it was like these very expensive kind of fake magazines.
Print is dead, I guess. It's a sad situation.
Too bad.
As we always like to do, we like to share our friends and families' social media posts, reacting to the things we've said and done. Aaron, what do we got?
There was a homie on the TikTok who was arguing with me whether Cannibal Holocaust is found footage. He kept saying it is not. I'm like, literally, they pull a canister of film out of an old, crusty dead man's hand. And that's where all the atrocities are. So while the entire film is not found footage, there is, in fact, it is still a found footage film. And someone also tried to argue with me that Blair Witch came first. Same person. Whose name I don't recall. Didn't make any goddamn sense.
Well, that is obviously wrong.
I also had people argue that, what is it, Green Inferno?
Yep.
Is a better film. But that's the Eli Roth one, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so yes. I'll never know.
No, I guess, look, Cannibal Holocaust definitely has a found footage element.
Yes.
So my question is, does it have to be just the found footage to qualify as a found footage film? I don't think so. I think this.
I don't think so. I mean, literally, they had all the elements, like they're trying to be a documentary and they're interviewing the family members who have very bizarre and strange comments about their missing loved ones. But
right. That's all.
I mean, it's a ridiculous film and it's disgusting and disturbing, but there you have it.
It is found footage. So next week, we're discussing the newer classic, The Heretic, starring Hugh Grant and others. How do you watch The Heretic? This is an important question. The easiest
I think I saw it on Max, wasn't it? Isn't it interesting? It's not correct. HBO anymore. It's Max, which reminds me of Cinemax.
That's why.
When I say HBO now, people are like, I don't have HBO. Can I watch it on Max?
Yes, because it was HBO Max. The app.
It was HBO.
For a while there.
It was home box office. Then it was HBO. Then it was HBO Max. Now it's just Max. What's next?
It could be anything.
Teddy. It's going to be called Teddy.
So the easiest way to watch it is on Max if you have it. If you don't, you can rent it for $4.99 on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Fandango at Home, Plex. So check that out. Send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show.
We may.
So no promises though. I'm not going to promise anything, but it's a possibility. So thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, my friends.